the Gen 4 cars at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is going to be awesome. Toby Estes and Terry Freer on the front row for 135 laps of action. Hold on for this high horsepower competition. The 8 of Toby Estes gets the green flag, and we are racing at Atlanta. Clean and green through the first lap of competition. Estes leading this one in the number 8 winner 2 weeks ago. And Aiden Norman with 7 wins this season coming into this race. Briley Wright won last week at Rockingham. 2 years in a row that the Bluegrass Bandits end up winning at Rockingham. Briley Wright in that 2.9 sits behind Mr. Jason Alexander in that number 5.6. Landon says, go, 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 or whatever Darrell Waltrip says. Pretty sure go, go, go is Murray Walker. Darrell Waltrip said boogity, didn't he? I was watching a race on Fox one time, and a fan had a sign that said Boggity, Boggity, and they obviously it was the early 2000s, and the way Mike Joy just pointed this sign out is fantastic. It was awesome. Jason Alexander's not so awesome. The South Carolinians up in the wall. He's up on the right-hand side. Tristan Catania to the left-hand side of that blue 5.6. Michigan's Terry Freer just edging out Toby Estes at the front of this race. Two-time champion Tom Sears now on the inside line, coming up off that corner, a slight blink for Monroe, Georgia's Ryan Pennell, the number 12 with his Georgia Bulldogs matte black paint scheme. Good-looking race car right there. And the 12 of Pennell, now with Briley Wright to his outside. And the number 18 of Josh Garrison sits just behind him. The fan of Bengals from Bloomingburg, Ohio. Is he a Bengals fan? Bengals or Browns, something like that. I got no idea. And to his outside, Cody Riggs in the number 3 Budweiser Chevrolet. The pride of Greensburg, Kentucky, in a throwback Budweiser paint scheme to the outside of Brandon Fetterplace, the current Rookie of the Year point standings leader from the great town of Cincinnati, Ohio. Comes up to the inside. The 34 Camry just trying to get the pass over the number 3. Down that back straight, and at the front, Tom Sears is your new leader, with defending champion Aiden Norman just behind him, and Toby Estes sits on the outside. Fans of NASCAR, fans of racing will notice this is the old. I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. I was going to say this is not the old configuration, and then I was going to say this is the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. But anyway, this is the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. Tom Sears leading, and these Gen 4 cars. The first time TNT has actually seen the Gen 4 cars here. Last season, it was the ARCA cars, so they dialed up the horsepower, and now they're turning these monsters around Atlanta. Tom Sears leading a couple of laps. And coming into this race, the TNT points standings. Not too kind so far to the two-time champion. Tom Sears running in the 6th spot. Tied for 6th with one Cody Riggs, one of those Bluegrass Bandits, currently running 10th in that number 3 Budweiser Chevrolet. Brandon Fetterplace now behind him. And Racing Ricky in the chat. Good to hear my buddy Ricky in the chat as well. How are you, my friend? Send my love out there to all your friends in the industry. A couple new fans tonight as well. I was talking with Tom Sears earlier, and he said, not Tom Sears, I'm sorry, Thomas Andrews. And he said Mama Andrews is going to be tuning in tonight. I know we got fans like Bama Tram, but we haven't seen Mama Vols here in a while as well. Grandma Jeannie, big fan of the 41 of Noah Belleville. There is that Haas Chevrolet just sitting at the back, minding his own business. Let's go on board the 41, and shout out to Grandma Jeannie if she's watching tonight. The sweet sounds of race cars at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and a caution comes out just as we break away from that sweet bliss. A little bit of a crank it up moment, if you will, and Elridge George crashes off of that second corner. The number 40 Dodge just gets away with more than a scratch, but less than a totaled race car. Matthew Kent, the number 3, won. Look at Austin Mongold, the number 30. Lost the front end of his car. Well, let's see what happened. Not a fantastic look. Let's see if we can get another look at what happened. George goes up, better place goes a little bit too deep, and it looks like Matt Kent gets rear-ended and lifted into the air by Austin Mongold. Nowhere for the number 30 to go. Let's have another look here, but this time with the 34 of Brandon Fetterplace. This is coming off of turn 4. That really tells it everything right there. That tells absolutely everything. It tells it all. The 34 of Fetterplace. It just gets into the 40, and it looks like the 40 might have also just checked up as well. It's difficult to tell, but the 40 may have checked up. Let's go on board with Elridge George. On board with George again. Or Briley Wright this time, sorry. Let's go back and see how Briley barely avoided that one. That was fantastic. Oh, Cody Riggs just gets out of the way. Briley Wright with some smooth moves there. Let's go on board again with the 2-9. Last week's winner, Briley Wright. That was pretty slick. Does not flinch. Gotta love it. You got to love it, and it's smooth moves like that that's going to earn Briley Wright his very own Cole Trickle move of the race.
Ice cream!
Lights are out atop the pace car, and we're going to go racing once again. If you've just tuned in, caution number 1 coming out. Elridge George getting turned around by Brandon Fetterplace. Tristan Catania involved. Noah Belleville caught a piece of that. Jimmy Kerr stayed out of the way. The front bumper just coming off of Austin Mongold's car. And look who's at the front. Georgia's Ryan Pennell at the front of this race in that number 12 Bulldogs Ford. He's going to have control of the field when we go back to green. This is going to be pretty entertaining as well. How far did we make it? We made it some laps, actually. We went, 13 laps before the caution came out. So we're going to restart on lap number 16 of 135. Ready to go green after 13 laps of green flag racing. A minor blip, but we're going again at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Pennell gets the foot down. Look at the front nose, how high it is off the ground. Green flag waves at Atlanta. Aiden Norman to the inside of Ryan Pennell in that 1-2. The 18 of Josh Garrison on the outside now, and it's 2 trains left and right now dueling for the top spot. Got to give it up to Garrison in that awesome number 18. Wheel and paint scheme. Aiden Norman opens the door to the inside. Garrison gets into the wall and puts a dent on that paint scheme. Tom Sears goes around out of turn number 4. We stay green. Aiden Norman leads this race. Toby Estes behind him. We're going to go back to Sears in a moment. He just got turned around. Or did he turn himself? Let's find out. Aiden Norman to the point. He's your new leader, Toby Estes, in that second position. Let's go back and see what happened to the 1-4. The 12 blinks. The 1-4 comes up behind the 18 of Garrison. Oh, Sears just gets in the wall. Toby Estes doesn't let up enough. Cody Riggs brushes the 14, but we stay green, and now the caution finally comes out. Austin Mongold may have caught a piece of something. Or is the caution out for the Tom Sears incident? Let's see what happens here before the caution comes out. This is Sears. So not really sure what the caution's for. Sears is already slow back here. This is well before the caution comes out, so we'll get some insight on that in just a minute here. Aiden Norman still leads the race with caution number 2 out at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Toby Estes in second. Josh Garrison in the third position. Briley Wright won last week at Rockingham. Let's see if we can bother Briley for a quick word, and if he's got a chance to win it tonight. Briley Wright, Rick James, how are you now?
Good, and you?
Winning the race last week at Rockingham has to be pretty fantastic, but now it's a completely different game. It almost doesn't even feel like the same car anymore. 2 cautions in the first 22 laps here. It sounds like that second caution might have been for the Tom Sears incident. I'm not sure. But what have you learned so far in this first short bit?
I feel like at the end of the race, if whoever's got the outside is gonna definitely take the win. So I don't know if the outside's the place to be, like on these kind of runs that we're getting, but definitely towards the end of the race, if you're on the outside, which is where I'm hoping to be at. I'm trying to learn it up there, kind of where I can time runs and stuff. But I think if I can get on the outside with about 5 to go, I might have a chance at it.
On the outside with 5 to go, calling your shot. All right. Who do you think is going to be your biggest rival on the way to victory lane? Who's going to have the most?
I don't know. Toby's doing a good job of keeping that thing out front. It seems like just handling this thing on the long run, because it gets tight as crap after about 10 laps. So it's just whoever's going to manage their tires the best, and Toby's really good at that. So he's doing a good job keeping it up front.
Bengals and Ravens are playing tonight. Who you got?
I'll take the Ravens.
You'll take the Ravens. It looks like the Bengals are about to try and get a field goal on 4th and 11 to make it 7-6. But anyway, buddy, we're going to let you focus. Enjoy the rest of the race.
All righty. Thank you, Rick.
You can't hear a damn word that boy is saying. I tried to turn up his audio up to 1,000, and I think I might have deafened some other viewers, so I apologize for that. But someone's got to turn Briley up. You cannot hear a word this man is. And poor Briley, because I know he's trying to make his stuff work. We just give him crap about it every single week because it is literally hard to hear him. So
I can still hear you, Rick.
oh, you can still hear me. You know what? I didn't. Well, you know what?
Now to the chat, buddy.
Well,
About to go green. Come on, man.
hey, no, you know what? I knew I forgot something. I forgot to put you back in the broadcast. But in any case, Briley, now that we can finally hear you at a decent level, now the whole world knows that you have microphone problems. So you need to take that with you as you race tonight.
All right.
Good luck, buddy.
We'll get it fixed one of these days.
One of these days we'll get it fixed. Riley finally. Oh, that's hilarious. I guarantee you the first words that Riley's saying to everybody right now is, "You're never going to believe that Rick James did not put me back in the driver's chat on Discord." That has to be an all-time moment. That's hilarious. That has got to be one of the funniest things that has ever happened. In TNT and in any race I've ever done, that has to be one of the funniest things that has ever happened. All right, so we're gonna try and do better here, but that's hilarious. We're going back to green. 23 laps are about to be completed. Aiden Norman has control of the field with Toby Estes to his outside. Let's see how far they make it this time around. Green flag is out at Atlanta. We're racing again.
Green flag, green flag.
Cody Riggs in the number 3 Budweiser Chevrolet sits just behind the 4-1 of Noah Belleville, and just like a plate track, you know these cars just take a full lap to get up to speed. But once they do get up to speed, they're only going to go so fast, and then you need help from the draft, and this is where the competition comes in. Toby Estes tucks right up behind Aiden Norman's spoiler. Defending champion leads at Atlanta. You kind of just clench every time they come out of turn number 2, because you think if somebody coughs, if somebody loses any sort of grip on that steering wheel, it is game over. But so far, so good. Aiden Norman still leads this race, but it is just a game of inches, really. And like any race at Daytona, like any race at Talladega, it it's that close. So you better hold on. It's going to be pretty fun from here. Looking at that Ravens and Browns game. No, Ravens and Bengals. What did I say? Ravens and Browns? No, they're playing in Baltimore here. Ravens in the all-black. I was about to say kit. I said watch soccer, but the all-black uniforms. 7-3. So I guess the Bengals missed that field goal. It's 3rd and 8 now with 13-20-something remaining in this second quarter. Lamar Jackson's going to drop back 10,000 yards, roll out to the right side of the field, and then throw the ball away. So it's going to be 4 and 8 for the Ravens. 13-19 to go in that second quarter. Norman still at the front. 2 drivers just put in personal bests. Matt Kent, who has, since Rockingham, really solidified his internet connection, blinking like crazy last week, but this week he's all right. He's doing just fine. Briley Wright up ahead in that 2-9 from Greensburg, Kentucky. Look who he's linked up with. The Bluegrass Bandits, nose to tail and side by side, 2 rows deep. 8 and the 3 side by side, and the 2-9 sitting just behind him. 2 of these drivers have won races in the last 3 weeks. Talk about a resurgence for the Bluegrass Bandits. Last season in Thursday Night Thunder, there just was a decrease in the performance that you expect from the Bluegrass Bandits. And here they are, Toby Estes in the 8, Briley Wright in the 2-9, sitting nose to tail. The last 2 winners in Thursday Night Thunder, and then Cody Riggs, who's on the outside. And that's what he can claim. 2 of the Bluegrass Bandits, winners, and then Cody Riggs, who's on the outside. But, hey, you heard Briley Wright earlier say, if I'm going to make a move to win this race, it's going to be on the outside, and with 5 laps to go. Cody Riggs exploring the outside. Imagine if Cody Riggs wins a race. Not only does he win his first ever Thursday Night Thunder race, but it's 3 wins in a row for the Bluegrass Bandits. That's just... that you know what? That's made up. That's... because the odds of that are pretty crazy. But if it could happen, this would be the track, or Talladega in 2 weeks. But if it were to be 3 separate Bluegrass Bandits winning in 3 consecutive weeks, this would be the most likely track for Cody Riggs to get that win. Let's go on board with the Kentucky pilot. So far, so good after that restart. Cody Riggs leading in Thursday Night Thunder, and he's going toe-to-toe with defending champion Aiden Norman on the outside. Cody Riggs going toe-to-toe with defending champion Aiden Norman. Mind you, Norman has 7 wins this season. Cody Riggs comes into this race tied 6th in the points with Tom Sears, and he's going neck and neck with the defending champion, and in all probability, 3-time champion. He would be the first 3-time champion and the first to win the title 3 years in a row. Aiden Norman. Landon in the chat says, let's go Riggs. Cody Riggs to the inside, but still plenty of racing to go. We finally crossed the 100 laps to go threshold, and we're going to have... No, we haven't hit 100 laps to go because I can't do math. There's smoke in the air, and when there's smoke, there's cautions. No, it is 100. Now it's 99. I can't focus on math when I'm trying to watch a race and an NFL game at the same time. So it's 99 laps to go. 2nd and 7 for the Browns. The 5 and 4 Browns coming to visit the 7 and 3 Baltimore Ravens. I keep saying Browns, damn it. It's the Bengals. It's the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Cody Riggs is still fighting with Aiden Norman. I have no idea why we're still watching this. Let's go check out Tom Sears. He's ahead of Thomas Andrews, and you've got the 41 of Noah Belleville just ahead in that 9th position. Shout out to Matt Kent with a solidified internet connection now. The 3-1 Pepsi Chevrolet coming up behind Brandon Fetterplace. We mentioned Brandon's leading the Rookie of the Year standings. He's 3rd in the overall TNT standings. And the next TNT rookie is Cody McFadden, running 9th. He's actually tied with Donald Ray for 9th in the point standings. Donald Ray not here tonight. Richie Catania, who's in 11th, not here tonight. Ryan Pennell, 12th in the point standings. He finds himself 306 to 332 points to Cody McFadden. What's that difference? What's 32 minus 6? 26, so it's a 26-point difference for Ryan Pennell. He's running 12th in this race. Car number 12 in the Georgia Bulldogs paint scheme. He's had a less than solid internet connection tonight, but he's doing fine. He's doing just fine. He's in that top dozen, and again, it is effectively a race at Daytona or Talladega with these Gen 4 cars. It's going to be bump drafting. It's going to be plate racing. The difference is this track is much more narrow, and it's a lot shorter by a whole mile. So it's the edge of your seat racing, but you've got to love that competition. Looking back at the Bengals and the Ravens, I almost said the Browns again, I swear. I'm going to get really mad if I keep saying Browns. It's 9.5 minutes to go in the first half. 7-3, Ravens on top of the Bengals, and the Bengals coach is losing his mind over something. Must have been a delay of game or something. I have no idea. There goes Cody Riggs almost running into Aiden Norman, effectively ending his evening, but for the one fast repair these drivers have. If they can manage to go green for one entire pit stop cycle, drivers will come in between 40 and 50 laps. That last caution on lap 21, Cody Riggs came down pit road. Briley Wright came down pit road. Tom Sears, Noah Belleville, they also decided to get fuel. So if it goes to a green flag run, we're going to have a 7-lap difference from the cars that came in under that last caution to the cars that came in under the first caution on lap 14. And if you're wondering what brought out that first caution, Elrich George. Brandon Fetterplace had something to do with it. And there's caution number 1. This is Tristan Catania getting loose in turn number 2. What a save. And then Josh Garrison turns him around. What the hell was that? Have a look. Oh, Garrison just gets to the inside. What in the world happened there? But anyway, back to live pictures. Cody Riggs and Toby Estes at the front of this one. Toby to the inside, and he wants to get around Cody Riggs. So now the two Bluegrass Bandits controlling the 2 lanes of racing, and Briley Wright sits happily in the 7th spot. 43 laps now underway. 1st and 10 for the Bengals. 7:45 to go as they march down the field, and they're on some sort of yard line. It looks like they're inside the 20 at least. So the Bengals are in the red zone looking to score their first touchdown of the game, and if they get the touchdown and the conversion, or the 1-point conversion, it puts them up 7 points. No, it puts them up 10-7. Can't do math. Cody Riggs coming up on the 48 of Tristan Catania. He's about to go a lap down, but Tristan would be the only car 1 lap down, so thus he would be the lucky dog. Tristan, where's he going to go? Look at the drivers scattering behind him. They're getting nervous. The 48 sits just ahead of the leaders, and he's being expected to be picked up. Catania finally moves to the left-hand side of the red line, and he gets out of the racing line, and looks like he's back up to at least some sort of racing speed. He comes right up off that red line, and he lets off the throttle. Toby Estes gets a gap between himself and that 48, and that could have been pretty dangerous for these drivers, but luckily everybody makes it through A-OK. Terry Freer looks like he's getting into the wall. That's Lapeer, Michigan's Terry Freer. He's got some damage on the right front corner. Behind that 3-1 of Matthew Kent, and now Freer has to get the draft. He's got to get the speed, or he can just kiss that pack goodbye. Here comes the next pack. Belleville leads in the 41. You heard him clutch the engine there. Belleville saving fuel. So the 41 clutching it into the corner. Let's see what he can save out of that. He pitted on lap 21 as well. It's been 27 laps since they've pitted for fuel. We'll see just how far they can make it. Noah Belleville leading this mini pack here in the 9th position. Tom Sears behind him. 3 TNT championships, running 10th and 11th with Season 4 champion Thomas Andrews. Just ahead of Ryan Pinnell. And at the front, Cody Riggs still leads. Riggs leading the longest green flag run as the Bengals make a reception for a touchdown on 2nd and goal. Just under 6 minutes to go in that second quarter. And the Bengals are now up on the Ravens 9-7, and the conversion to come. So the Ravens will have plenty of time to march down the field and respond to this touchdown. Norman in the 6-2 comes up behind Toby Estes in that 8, and the number 3 of Cody Riggs leads this race. 6-2 to the left-hand side. Behind that 8, it goes Chevy, Dodge, Chevrolet, Toyota, Chevrolet, Toyota, Dodge. Where's the Fords? There's Ryan Pinnell in the Ford right there. Elridge George minding his business in the number 40 Dodge. And Josh Garrison in the number 18 Wheelin' Machine. And you got to give it up to Josh Garrison for running an awesome paint scheme. And, you know, you can't call it a throwback because it still is a modern-day paint scheme. But it's one of those colors. It's almost like you see the rainbow on the 24. You see the all-black Goodwrench car. You see the scrapes on the right-hand side of the 18 Wheelin' car because Josh Garrison put it in the wall again. You know that those are iconic NASCAR paint schemes. And I would even go beyond that because that's what the Wheelin' car looks like in IMSA as well, the prototype, and the Corvette team when they run a Wheelin' paint scheme looks exactly like this does. So definitely not a throwback, a very iconic modern day paint scheme, and not just in NASCAR. You could even say these are almost akin to the Marlboro colors, the Martini colors, the Alitalia Racing colors. You remember that silk cut Jaguar that they ran in the I think they run it at Le Mans. This is one of those paint schemes, and Josh Garrison has put it up against the wall again. Meanwhile, Cody Riggs still leads. Toby Estes in that second position, defending champion Aiden Norman sitting in third. And here are the points coming into this race. The 6-2 of Norman, you can pretty much assume he can take it easy from here. Coming into this race, he leads Briley Wright by 66 points. Now, it's not mathematically over, not by a long shot. If the race were to end now, Aiden Norman would gain minimal ground on Briley Wright, and Aiden Norman has led laps. Briley Wright has not, so it would be a few points that Aiden would gain. But Briley, now to the inside of the 6-2, and this is a pass for points right here. Briley Wright does have a championship to play for. Brandon Fetterplace. Mathematically, Fetterplace is still in. The rookie in that number 34. Here he comes up behind Aiden Norman. This is effectively a super speedway race. Don't forget, Aiden Norman could get caught up in a wreck. The race could be over for him, and the championship could get a lot closer come the end of this race. So still plenty could happen. Brandon Fetterplace still mathematically in this championship. Thomas Andrews, actually all the way down to, I think, the top 6 are still in this title. And that includes the 6th place tie as well. So, you know, next week we're going to take a lot more drivers off that list. But Cody Riggs, who's leading this race, still has a chance to win a Thursday Night Thunder championship. It is a very, very long chance. It is an astronomically long chance. But Cody Riggs still has a chance to win that TNT title. Now, speaking of things that aren't going to happen, Joshua Garrison winning this race is becoming a lot more bleak. He sits in the 15th position. He's well off the draft. Here come the leaders out of turn number 4, and he's soon going to become a statistic as far as cars laps down. Toby Estes coming up behind the number 3 of Cody Riggs. They're starting to draft together, and look who's coming on the outside of Matt Kent. The American pitcher by way of Taiwan. Landon says, not that far of a shot. I've got faith in him. Talking about Cody Riggs winning that title. Landon, may I remind you, I think it's 3, maybe 4 weeks in a row now that you have bet on a 4-touchdown parlay that has not hit. You can have faith in Cody Riggs. Don't bet on him. However, Cody Riggs is currently making me eat my words because he's leading this race right now, and I think he's leading it by the largest 2-car margin that we've seen tonight. Anything could, and this is what I love about racing. You know, anything could literally happen. Cody Riggs is leading this race beautifully. Toby Estes behind him. Briley Wright looks like he's going to get picked up by Aiden Norman, and Norman may carry him back up to the top 3. Brandon Fetterplace just on the cusp of the podium as Matt Kent sits ahead of him. Noah Belleville, Tom Sears, Austin Mongold now in a group. Thomas Andrews in that group as well. Mongold making way for the number 2, the Season 4 champion in that TNT Dodge. Currently leads this race. And fans at home, if you see any of these race cars that you like tonight, anything that just makes you think, I loved that race car, I had that livery, it was, you could treat yourself to a little die-cast. Noah Belleville in the 41. You remember that Haas paint scheme. I don't know about Tony the Tiger on the side. Someone's got to remind me what car that was, but it looks awesome. Thomas Andrews, obviously, in a modified version of the Blue Deuce. Who doesn't love this race car here? The 30 of Austin Mongold, that Scooby-Doo paint scheme. That was fantastic. Briley Wright in the 2.9, racing one of Kevin Harvick's rarest paint schemes. I think these Goodwrench colors only saw 2 races. I think Dale Jr. drove this throwback. And speaking of Dale Jr. cars, maybe he did or not. I think it might be Dale Jr., it might be Junior Johnson. I'm not sure. And then Toby Estes. Talk about a Dale Jr. throwback as the rookie Fetterplace gets into the wall, smoking down the left-hand side of the racetrack. What happened to Brandon Fetterplace? .34 doing just fine. This is Fetterplace coming up behind Matt Kent. Let's keep an eye on what happened to these cars here. Anyway, we'll get back to what we were talking about in just a moment. We're still green on the racetrack. Did he get loose off of 2? Well, now I literally have no idea what happened to Brandon Fetterplace. Let's go back and see exactly what happened to the 3-4 because I'm extremely curious now. And it's almost like he was blinking for a very, very long time. I can't get a look on Brandon Fetterplace at all. Let's see just what happened. There's Fetterplace in the 3-4. Did he possibly just disconnect? The Rookie of the Year leader just goes left. Have a look. One more look on board with the 3-4 Fetterplace. Did he fall asleep at the wheel? Was he not paying attention? What happened to him? Cody Riggs is still leading this race. Brandon Fetterplace still has just completely went missing, and he said, my computer froze up. There he is in the chat, exiled. Computer froze up. So Brandon Fetterplace just falls off the face of the earth, and he's going to be several laps down. Let us know if you can get back into this one. It's going to be interesting here. Cody Riggs still leading Toby Estes in that number 8 car. Tom Sears on the outside. He pitted on lap 61. Ryan Pinnell also pitted on lap number 60. Josh Garrison on lap 62. Drivers making it just before the 50-lap mark. Aiden Norman, the race leader, has decided he's going to come into the pits. This is where it gets interesting. Green flag pit stops. Landon asking when they've got a pit, and it's approximately 50 laps. Here comes Cody Riggs. He's in. Toby Estes, he's in. Cody Riggs coming back up onto the racetrack. Toby Estes now coming up behind him. Cody Riggs coming in way too hot into the pits. He's really got to lock it up. Here comes Briley right with him as well, and now you've got to think, is that a speeding penalty? Cody Riggs coming in way too hot, and that genuinely could cost him. He's got to put the right sides up. We'll see if the 2.9 of right puts the right sides up. He does. All right, so it is a 4-tire pit stop for these drivers. Here comes Matt Kent coming off of turn number 3. Kent also coming up onto the racetrack, coming in with a head full of steam. He comes off of turn number 4, smoking those tires into the pits. Jimmy Kerr will circle around to become the race leader. Aiden Norman comes back onto the racetrack. Fresh tires, fresh fuel. And it's just under 70 laps to go in this race. Is Joe Burrow injured? I put one eye on the football game. Joe Burrow tried to throw a football, and it looks like he collapsed in pain. 2nd and 9 for the Ravens with 5 minutes to go, and they're going to throw a short pass out to the left-hand side. And it looks like it's going to be 3rd and about 4 or 5 for Baltimore. 4:50 remaining in the second quarter. The Bengals have a 3-point lead over the Ravens. Aiden Norman, 31:43 on the clock. Jimmy Kerr, 33:27, and the defending champion just unlapped himself. Here comes Cody Riggs. He's got Toby Estes behind him. Norman, however, by himself. Here he comes around Matt Kent, the American pitcher. We'll see what Kent puts up on the clock this time through, but Norman will cross the line, and his time on lap number 67. 31:88. Cody Riggs, 31:12. 7/10 quicker. Here come the Bandits. The 3 and the 8 nose to tail. Briley Wright fell off. He's behind Elridge George. Looking at Briley Wright, his pit stop time, 14:87. Just a 10th off of the rest of the Bluegrass Bandits. Possibly just not attacking pit road as well as he could. Who knows? But Cody Riggs and Toby Estes get around Aiden Norman with 66 laps to go. And this is the race for the lead. And remember, some laps ago I said things that aren't going to happen. Cody Riggs winning this race, but it is possible. It is very possible. The 3 leaders, Jimmy Kerr, Noah Belleville, and Austin Mongold, now lap 71. It'll be 50 laps for them on this run, so they're surpassing the Track Facts pit window on 1 tank of fuel. And Kerr definitely gambling on the caution. He's gambling on the yellow, and there it is. There it is. It's Cody Riggs. It's Riggs and Estes. They get into a crash. The projected top 2 drivers have crashed. Here comes the pace car. Cody Riggs and Toby Estes. They had become the pit leaders, or the potential leaders, after the green flag cycle. And the top 2 potential leaders crash. And James Kerr III, I was saying he was gambling. There goes Toby Estes at the speed of sound with a drift into the pits. Belleville has to slow it down so he doesn't get a speeding penalty. And the Bluegrass Bandits going for 3 consecutive wins. Cody Riggs, who has never won a Thursday Night Thunder race, ever. Looks like he's going to stay out. He might have been all right, but let's see what happened to Toby and Cody. Into the first corner. I'll tell you what happened. Matt Kent, again, looks like he gets a piece. And that's very reminiscent to the first crash between Elridge George and Brandon Fetterplace. Watch this. Fetter Place just gets into the 40. Matt Kent does a great job of checking up, but then the 48 of Catania doesn't and sends him airborne. And now Toby Estes and Cody Riggs. Let's get a different angle. Let's see if there's any cause for netcode as well. Oh, at that point, it's over. Did the 3 car snap before the 8 made contact? Let's take a look at the blimp. I think there's a cause for netcode. And now the moment of truth. Let's go on board with Cody Riggs. Oh, no, that's contact. Never mind. Forget netcode. That is straight up contact. He got into him. So we're back out onto the racetrack. Cody Riggs is being scored as the race leader. He's third in line in that Budweiser machine, and the pace car just turns the lights out. So let's bother this man real quick and get a quick word on what happened. Cody Riggs, how are you now?
Rick, I'm good, and you?
Not so bad, my friend. What happened?
Are you talking about my spin back there?
I'm talking about your spin back there. What happened?
Well, they threw the caution flag, and I let off the gas, and Toby was just right there, and I guess he didn't slow down enough, or didn't know I was going to let off, I guess. Just kind of bumped me and spun me. I don't think there was any damage, so no harm, no foul.
Wait, so they threw the caution before you guys actually made contact?
Yeah, there was a caution, or there was a incident between Ryan, Tom Sears, and I think Terry Freer might have been involved, and they didn't know for sure if it was a caution, and they debated on it for a second, then called it.
I completely didn't even see that here. That's unbelievable. All right. Okay. Well, anyway, let's go back to green here, Riggs. You got control of the field, buddy. Best of luck.
All right, thank you, Rick.
And this time, I actually did put Cody Riggs back in the driver's chat, so I didn't screw that one up. But we don't have to worry about that because Riggs has no issues with his microphone volume, unlike Briley, who's going to be restarting second in line on the outside. So we got to go back to that incident before the yellow flag because
Green flag.
my timing and scoring said nothing about those guys crashing. But in any case, the green flag is out. Cody Riggs has the lead. Aiden Norman trying to get a jump. Look at him behind him, and it goes 3-6-2, 3-1, your top three. I love that driver cam. That is slick. Bluegrass Bandits at the front once again. Briley Wright, last week's winner, now shoots to the outside. Car 29 sits ahead of the 41. Here comes the 6-2 to the left-hand side of Cody Riggs in that number 3. 76 laps complete at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Briley Wright sits just ahead of the 4-1 Noah Belleville. Ryan Pinnell. Apparently he was involved in an incident here involving Terry Freer as well. Let's see if we can get some insight as to what happened. This is before the yellow flag had come out. Oh, Tom Sears spins. Ryan Pinnell gets right into him. Then Terry Freer gets involved as well. Then the caution comes out. And that's when Toby Estes and Cody Riggs got together. Well, yeah, I had no indication. My timing and scoring threw up no indication that they had crashed. But that's interesting. And then Toby Estes ends up getting into Cody Riggs. Riggs lets up off the gas. Estes gets right into him. So that crash brought out this crash. And Toby Estes now gets around the 12 of Pennell, and you can see Toby still has that damage. I don't know if Toby used the fast repair. It doesn't look like he did. Ryan Pennell in the Bulldogs Ford, he still has that scratch. I don't think he used that fast repair either. Thomas Andrews comes up behind him. Elrich George, who's in the 12th position. He's 1 lap off the pace. He's fighting to be that lucky dog. The red Dodge comes up off the red line. And he's trying to get that lap back by way of a yellow flag. Toby Estes is the next car in that lucky dog fight. So the 8 car hoping for a caution. Noah Belleville from DeSoto, Missouri leads this race. Look at them go 3 wide. The 2-9 of Briley Wright just held onto it, and Cody Riggs just held onto it, and it's starting to fall apart for the Bluegrass Bandits. The 3 drivers from Greensburg, Kentucky, the neighbors, separated by just a few miles in the same town, all in this race, and they almost all just caused an incident after restarting after 2 of them having a crash earlier. Have a look at this. It's Briley Wright in the 2-9, Cody Riggs in the 3. Oh, they just get really close there, and they almost have a big crash. Check this out. I think Briley just tried to come up. I don't know if he knew that. I just don't know. Briley just comes right up the racetrack. I think Riggs just goes down a little bit, trying to stay off the wall, and they both drifted into each other's space here. Briley Wright still on the attack, though. He's coming up behind Noah Belleville in that 4-1. He really gets up close to the wall. Toby Estes leading that lucky dog race. Noah Belleville has, how many wins? 3 wins this season, I think. I can't tell. He's nowhere near. He runs a part-time schedule. 3 wins this season. Part-time schedule. And Belleville leading this race, going for 4 wins. Briley Wright to his outside. Less than 4 races to go in the season. It'll be 3 once the checkered flag flies tonight. Obviously, next week being the Thanksgiving weekend, TNT will not be racing. Next Thursday is going to be Thanksgiving, period. Forget the weekend. Next Thursday is just going to be straight up Thanksgiving. So, of course not. We're not going to be racing. We're going to be spending time with the people we love in our life, and we encourage you to do the same. So if I do forget to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving tonight, have a wonderful, marvelous Thanksgiving. Moving forward here, Noah Belleville leading this race. Jimmy Kerr the 3rd. When's the last time we saw James Kerr sitting in the top 3? But here he is, the number 75 Chevrolet, sitting in 2nd right now. And how about Matt Kent? He spent the majority of this race in the top 5. Briley Wright now spending the majority of this moment in the outside wall. And Tom Sears is slow off of turn number 4. The 2-time champion still mathematically in the title hunt. Comes off of turn number 4 with some damage, and that Supra has seen better days. We'll see if he parks it. Possibly some repairs. Cody Riggs just ahead of Thomas Andrews in the number 2. And before we were so rudely interrupted by a crash, we were talking about some of these old school paint schemes that we love, like the Scooby-Doo 30, the Blue Deuce number 2, the Good Wrench 29, that Budweiser 3 car that Cody Riggs is driving. All of these classic paint schemes. Matt Kent in that Jeff Gordon 31 car. Well, the Jeff Gordon Pepsi car, obviously not the 31 car. Toby Estes in that Budweiser machine. All of these paint schemes you can find on Drip Diecast and Collectibles. And if you don't know about Drip Diecast and Collectibles, it's your number 1 Facebook store for all your favorite NASCAR diecast. And it even goes beyond the cars as well. One time I saw a Dale Earnhardt gas pump there in the Wrangler colors. It was awesome. But head on over to Drip Diecast and Collectibles. The holidays are here, so get those gifts for the people that you love. Drip Diecast and Collectibles on Facebook. Get a piece of your NASCAR history. Get that gift for yourself, for someone you love, for someone you don't love. Give them their least liked race car driver. It doesn't matter. Get in there. But Drip Diecast and Collectibles, that's the place to go for your diecast gifts for yourself and your people this holiday season. And I'm just noticing this now. Cody Riggs has a Rick James TV decal on that race car. Thank you, Cody Riggs. And a big shout out to Riggs, a big shout out to all of Greensburg, Kentucky as well, because the Bluegrass Bandits are doing their job tonight. Cody Riggs sitting in third, Briley Wright sitting in fourth. Toby Estes currently running in 11th, but he is in the lucky dog position. If a caution comes out, Toby would benefit. He would get his lap back, and he's going to need it. 45 laps to go. The green flag pit stops started with Ryan Pennell pitting on lap number 60. Drivers can go at most just over 50 laps on one tank of fuel. So that means if Ryan saves fuel, he can go to lap 110. That's another 20 laps from now. Realistically, it's going to be tough. Pennell doesn't have the draft right now. So expect these green flag stops to start before lap 110 with 25 laps to go. Jimmy Kerr pitted on lap 72. He had the longest stint of anybody. Can he go the distance? There it is. He went 51 laps. If he goes another 51 laps on fuel, well, he's going to end up being, 2 laps shy. So Kerr has to save all the fuel in the world. And an incredible gamble for Kerr as well, because he stayed out to the very last drop of gas, and the caution came out. But who knows? Maybe he could go a couple laps further than that. I don't know if 51 is the maximum, but that's the maximum he could do. The other driver that did 51 laps is the guy that sits behind him, Noah Belleville. If the race goes green, Belleville and Kerr are on the defense. In fact, if the race goes green to the end, Belleville and Kerr are in serious trouble if they don't have the fuel to make it. However, nobody else can go as far as they can. The only other driver is Austin Mongold, who pitted 1 lap after they did. Who knows? Who knows? But this has been an awesome, awesome race tonight. It's a bright little shining star on today, given the terrible news about Ken Squire. Obviously, the racing world, not even just forget racing, the entire world of sports lost a legend. Ken Squire is one of the first voices that I heard when I was watching NASCAR, when I was enjoying racing as a kid. And Ken Squire, for me, listening to him on CBS, listening to him call those Daytona 500s, obviously, Squire, you could argue, put NASCAR on the map in 1979 with the famous line, "And there's a fight." The end of that Daytona 500 with the fight in the infield of turn number 3. Ken Squire, I think he called races alongside Mike Joy in the 90s as well. But Squire just had that cadence, that voice about him. I was reading a tweet by Alan Bestwick today, and Alan Bestwick said, "We called him Father Squire." You know, and if that doesn't tell you the kind of influence he had on the broadcasters that we hear today, Mike Joy, Ken Squire. Dustin Painter was talking about him earlier today, and he listed some of the people that can owe their career to Ken Squire. As Painter put it, as I'm looking for those words right now, he said, what did Dustin Painter say? I wasn't prepared for this. I'm making this up as I go along here, but let's see exactly what Painter said. He listed some great recognizable names in there. Mike Joy, Jack Arute, Dave Moody, Kyle Rickey, just a few of the names that he helped get into the commentary part of NASCAR. And that's Dustin Painter talking about Ken Squire. So just, it's a terrible shame that the world of sports has lost a legendary voice like Ken Squire, and it's going to take some healing, but we will heal. And like Ken Squire, we're going to do our very best to bring the sport that we love to the people that care to watch. So just a heartfelt thank you to Ken Squire for his service to motorsport and for the incredibly efficient road that he paved for broadcasting and racing. We're going to miss you, Ken. Noah Belleville continues to lead at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Briley Wright sits in that second position. It's going to be 35 laps to go this time by. Expect pit stops inside the next 10 laps. Aiden Norman on the outside of Jimmy Kerr III in that 75 car. Kerr sits third in the standings right now. Toby in the standings, in the running order. Toby Estes is second. I'm sorry, he's second in line. But he's not second in this race. Toby Estes is the first car one lap down. So if a caution comes out, Estes will get his lap back. However, we are on the cusp of green flag pit stops. Toby Estes last pitted on lap 72. He has enough fuel to make it approximately to lap 123. We don't know if they can go longer than that. We only know that that's the longest stint any driver has done today. 51 laps, and Estes is in the wall, just as Briley Wright is to the inside. Briley Wright and Toby Estes, two of the three Bluegrass Bandits. Cody Riggs, the third Bandit, sitting in the 7th position. And the state of Kentucky has won the last two Thursday Night Thunder races. Specifically, the town of Greensburg, Kentucky, has won the last two Thursday Night Thunder races. And you're looking at those two winners, and the defending champion has joined them now with 33 laps to go at Atlanta. Norman in the 6-2 sits behind Briley Wright in that 2-9. Jimmy Kerr the third in the 75 sits just ahead of Austin Mongold. Tom Sears coming up in that number 14 Arcs Supra. Sears sits in the 14th position, 9 laps off the pace. Two DNFs today, Jason Alexander and Brandon Fetterplace. Fetterplace saying his computer froze up, and check this out.
Yellow flag is out.
Caution is out while we're taking a look at Brandon Fetterplace crash. What happened here? This is like the third time tonight I've missed a crash. And it's Matt Kenton, the 31. The American pitcher from Texas A&M to the Fubon Guardians. Cody Riggs happened to Matt Kent in the 31, and then Cody Riggs happened to get into the wall, and Matt Kent does like a 720 or a 900. Now, the last time this incident happened, this wasn't the incident that brought out the yellow flag, so there could be another crash on the other side of the racetrack. I can't see it. You can just see Riggs tries to get to the inside of Kent in the 31, and he upsets that 3-1 and turns him around, headed into that first corner. Oh yeah, that is contact. You see the 3-1 just lift up off the ground. Kent does a spin in one direction, he does a spin in the other direction. And 720 degrees of pain for Matt Kent. He sits in the 9th spot right now. He's going to come down into the pits for tires, fuel, and everything else he can get his hands on. So the drivers will come into the pits. They're going to take a break, and we're going to do the same, fans. We're going to grab another zesty drink, and you should do the same. We're going to have less than, or fewer than, isn't that the correct grammar? We're going to have fewer than 30 laps to go when we restart this race. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more TNT from Atlanta. Lights are out atop the pace car. We're about to go racing once again. 28 laps to go. Briley Wright with control of the field. Noah Belleville to his outside, and everybody has enough fuel to go the distance. Bluegrass Bandits leads once again, and the yellow flag is out for the 5th time tonight. Tom Sears is at the back. Elridge George might have caught a piece of this one. Tristan Catania looks like he might have just gotten away with this one, but what happened here? See if we can get a closer look at what happened. This is coming off of turn number 4. Somebody's going to go somewhere. Possibly Elridge George. And it's Elridge George. Oh, Toby Estes getting involved again, and one of the Bluegrass Bandits really getting caught up in this. Matt Kent catching a piece of this one. And Sebastian the Cat has something to say about that. Talk to him, Seb. silent. Any comment, Sebastian? As he mutes the mic with his nose. And Sebastian the cat just silenced and stunned. Ain't that right? Yep, still silent. All right, anyway, let's go look at Toby Estes again. And not Toby Estes, but it looks like Elridge George is going to be on the receiving end of this. A heavy crash for the native of Nassau in the Bahamas. Keep your eye on that red 40 on the inside. Well, you know they say red 40 is bad for you, and the 48 really made something of that. On board with George from my favorite camera tonight, the roll bar cam. So caution is out again, and we're going to restart inside the final 25 laps of racing. Noah Belleville sits behind the 2-9 of Briley Wright. And the part-time driver won the last Super Speedway race here. Let's see if he's got a chance to win it again. Noah Belleville, Rick James up top. You got me?
Yep.
Well, the last time we were in such a position, you ended up winning the race at Daytona. So we're at another, I guess you could say, plate track, because the Gen 4 cars are given the Super Speedway package with the wicker on the top and the wing and the spoiler. So you've got the most experience in victory lane out of anybody here, but you've got Briley Wright, who won last week, to your left-hand side, and then behind you, you're going to have Jimmy Kerr III in the 7.5, who's never won in TNT. How are you going to pull this one off?
Yeah, I really like the outside here. It's just all about the launch. I gotta at least not lose a spot to Aiden. I'm probably going to lose it on Briley just because he gets to launch first, but if I could stay even with him, I'll get the run down the back stretch or on the front stretch and hopefully pull alongside Briley. But if we get it or we don't, I'm fine with it either way. I've kind of been just chillaxing this whole race and listening to my music and actually trying to enjoy myself.
Well, I'm glad you're having a good time, man. Now, hopefully the last 20-some laps of the race are fun. Best of luck.
Yep.
Belleville will go back to work to the outside of Greensburg, Kentucky's Briley Wright. We're inside of the final 25 laps of racing, round number 13 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, about to be decided. The championship still has yet to be decided. Aiden Norman has a fantastic advantage coming into this race, but will he keep it when the checkered flag flies? 23 laps to go, and we're racing again at Atlanta. Aiden Norman in that 6-2. To the inside of Noah Belleville in the 41. The two winningest drivers in Thursday Night Thunder this season. 10 wins between the both of them. Aiden Norman with 7. Noah Belleville with 3. Briley Wright in the 2-9 sits just ahead. That Good Wrench Chevrolet trying to win 2 races in a row. Jimmy Kerr III comes up off that red line. Thomas Andrews in the 2. Ryan Pinnell in the 12. The 2 Penske numbered cars, Dodge and Ford, side by side down that front straight with Toby Estes, who got his lap back by way of the lucky dog. And Austin Mongold just went purple. 30.34 seconds, the fastest lap tonight. Briley Wright still at the front. Noah Belleville trying to side draft off of him. Briley said the outside would be the place for him tonight. How about Noah Belleville pulling off that outside move? And if that was the last lap, Belleville would have pulled off an awesome pass to win this race. So now Belleville has some sort of move to practice. He's got something he can use on the 2.9. Norman pushing that 2.9 forward. Briley Wright comes into this race second in the points. Still mathematically within a shot to win this title. That's if Aiden Norman doesn't just cruise to victory, because Norman has I think we did the math, and he had a lot of points advantage on Briley. To the tune of, 66 points. So, not enough to win by 3 races. But if Aiden Norman can maintain this gap all the way down to the penultimate race of the season. Let's see, Homestead's the last one. Which one's the last one? Second to last one? I should know this. We do this week in and week out, right? I don't memorize this schedule. Talladega. Well, how about that? So the second to last race of the season is going to be Talladega. And if Aiden Norman can walk out of Talladega with a 66-point lead, he will be your Thursday Night Thunder champion. But what a way to decide that. We still have to decide this draft race here. Noah Belleville and Briley Wright came across the line at .000. If it gets that close, we're going to have to put the battle box on the right-hand side here. We're going to see who wins it by the thousandth of the second. That fourth corner there at the line. 38 1/1000ths of a second, and 15 to go next time by. Estes is in the wall. He's trying to catch up to this pack here. Miss Moneypenny's in the chat. She says, let's go, Aiden. She's cheering for that 6-2. The defending champion sits behind that 2.9. And it's 15 laps to go. Look at Tristan Catania. He sits in 12th. The first car 1 lap down. Catania does not need to unlap himself. If a caution comes out, he will get the lucky dog. He's in that prime position. The next car behind him is Elrich George in that red 40 Dodge. He sits right in the middle of your screen. Haven't seen that Bengals-Ravens game in a minute. It looks like the Bengals are leading 21-10 at halftime. This game over here just a little bit closer, though. How about 4/100ths of a second going into that first corner? Aiden Norman sits behind Briley Wright in the 2.9. Noah Belleville on the outside in that 4.1, almost getting run into by the 2.9 of Briley Wright. What a disaster that would have been. Round 13 has just 13 laps left. And it's now a dozen. The round 12 winner, Briley Wright, sits just in the lead now, but for the grace of Aiden Norman in the 6-2, Tristan Catania continues to weave all over the racetrack. Elrich George, however, now behind the 48, and they are indeed racing for the lucky dog. George to the outside of that 48 car as Noah Belleville beats Briley Wright to the line by 7/100ths of a second. 11. George is in the wall. Mongol to the inside. He will avoid the Bahamian. George in the wall again, just ahead of Sears. Sears avoids George in the 40, and we avoid a caution and a restart inside the final 10 laps of this race. Briley Wright leads, lapped traffic ahead. It's Terry Freer, the driver from Lapeer, Michigan. He's in 11th. Last car on the lead lap. Bluegrass Bandits have won the last 2 races, and it was this driver here 7 nights ago, Briley Wright, who took victory at the Rock. Terry Freer, like a gentleman, stays out of the way of racing traffic. Hats off to the 86. Well, I think Terry Freer just coming up onto the racetrack. He's got to be a bit cooler than that. Terry Freer's got to be a bit cooler than that. And luckily for everybody else paying attention, we stay caution-free. Noah Belleville continues to lead, and that time at the line, the gap was 2/100ths of a second. 9. Sears going off the track in turn number 2. He lets off the throttle. Kent ahead. Briley Wright checks up the racetrack. Noah Belleville has no draft help, but he now has the momentum after the 6-2 of Norman had to check up. And it's 8. Jimmy Kerr sits in 3rd on the left-hand side. Seven laps to go. Six laps left. They're wrecking behind them. 2 drivers make contact. It could be Elrich George in the 40. Saved it. Briley right to the inside of that 41. 130 laps underway. 5 to go this time by. Noah Belleville has beaten Briley Wright to the line every single time, and it's 4 this time across. Briley beat Noah to the line that time. 3 to go this time by. Belleville goes high. Monroe, Georgia's Ryan Pennell within a chance to win. Imagine. He has not won since Talladega Season 4. Imagine if he gets the win tonight. Briley Wright leading. Here comes Belleville. Here comes Norman. Wright almost puts himself in a very awkward position. Belleville wiggles out of the corner. Pennell blinks. That time across the line, it went down to the 3rd digit. It's 3 laps to go at Atlanta. Fewer than 4 miles to settle the 13th round of the Thursday Night Thunder Championship. 2 to go this time. Briley Wright won last week. Noah Belleville looking for his 4th victory this season. It would be the 3rd win in a row for the Bluegrass Bandits if Briley Wright could beat Belleville to the line. Belleville beat Wright by 2/100ths of a second, and it's 3 miles left. And if your heart doesn't race now, if your heart doesn't love the competition, with the white flag in the air, and it's just 1.5 miles to go at the line. Briley Wright beats Noah Belleville by again to the 3rd digit. Aiden Norman now has to make his move. Here comes Mongold in the 30. Will it be over if anybody else gets involved? Half a lap remains at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Briley Wright to the inside of Noah Belleville. Here comes Aiden Norman to aid. The 4-1 on the outside. He's going to try and side draft out the corner. Wright has to defend. Coming off of turn number 4. Round number 13 will be a photo finish. It will be Briley Wright who beats Noah Belleville to the line by 1/100th of a second unofficially. 8/1000ths of a second is the gap between Briley Wright and Noah Belleville. Unbelievable. Briley Wright getting congratulations from the 4-1 of Belleville, the 6-2 of Norman. Bluegrass does it again. The Bandits win for a 3rd consecutive week. Cody Riggs offering congratulations. Briley Wright will continue to burn the house down, and what a way to get the victory. What a finish. Let's go back to that last lap. Briley Wright and Noah Belleville just battling. God, those cars sound just fantastic. Briley Wright sits ahead. Well, going into that first corner, Briley Wright sat ahead. Aiden Norman coming up behind him in that 6-2. And where was the moment, do you think? Because you saw Belleville just lining up the pass. You saw him trying to side draft. Briley Wright in the middle line hanging on, and maybe that's the push. That's the push that wins Briley the race. One more look at the white flag. And have another look. Aiden Norman will push Briley Wright out of turn number 4. If it's not for that push, Noah Belleville wins this race. Come together at the line as they should, fighting for that win. Briley Wright gets the victory at Atlanta. We're going to talk to Briley, Noah, and Aiden in just a moment, fans. Don't go anywhere. Podium interviews in just a minute. on the podium now with our top three after a thrilling race, starting with our third place finisher, Aiden Norman, in that 6-2. Aiden, coming into this race, you were leading by about 60-some points over Briley Wright. Now it's unofficially a 60-point gap with 3 races remaining heading into the Thanksgiving break. But forget the points for a minute. How was that race?
That was something. It's a super speedway with a little bit of tires there mixed in, so it's a different challenge for sure. But I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not usually a fan of super speedways, and I would still prefer to be elsewhere. But this for super speedway went pretty smooth.
A fantastic drive on this Atlanta Motor Speedway. Have yourself a very, very happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you go to clinch the title in 2 weeks at Martinsville.
Yep. Thank you, Rick.
Silver medalist tonight in that number 41, the part-time driver with 3 wins this season, Noah Belleville. An incredible point boost for you, but it's all about the wins, and you came so close.
Yeah, I mean, I might have lost it by a hair, but I still had a lot of fun. And I mean, it was like I said when you talked to me under the caution there. As long as I could stay close on the restart, I'd be able to get the runs and kind of stay with them. But I never could get that push on the outside. I don't know what was happening behind me, but it just seemed like nothing ever really formed up. So I was kind of on my own up there, and I was surprised I hung up there that long. But yeah, we came up just short. But I was just out there having fun and happy for Briley.
Awesome run for you, for Aiden, and for Briley as well. And let's talk about tonight's race winner in that number 29, Mr. Briley Wright. 2 wins in a row, 3 consecutive wins for the Bluegrass Bandits. You're still well within the hunt to even get yourself a TNT title. You might need some luck, but after tonight, it definitely proved that Bluegrass is back, baby.
Yeah, that finish was amazing. Earlier I said you'd probably have to be on the top to win it, and I guess I was wrong about that, but I don't know. I think that if the 41 would have had more help on the outside, he probably would have went by us. I started getting really tight. I guess I got lucky with the 62 behind me. I knew that if he was behind me, he'd try to kind of stick with me. So
amazing finish, fantastic way to get your second win of the season. You're going to have a very happy Thanksgiving, and then in 2 weeks' time, you're going to go for 3 wins in a row. And the only other driver to do that is the man that you just beat, Mr. Aiden Norman. Congratulations on that win, Briley. Have a very happy Thanksgiving.
alrighty, you too, Rick.
Fans at home, that does it for us tonight, and we get one more race before the Thanksgiving break. The next gen cars of ENEA will be at the Iowa Speedway Monday night, 8:30, right here, Rick James TV. And I need to catch my breath. I'm going to order a pizza. I'm hungry. Are y'all hungry? I'm hungry. I'm getting a pizza. So,
Heck yeah, pizza. Woo!
Aiden, you know, I can leave Briley in the, you know what? There we go. All right, let's get rid of all of those guys. I can leave Briley in there and trust him not to say anything. I can't trust Aiden not to say anything, and it's my own fault. But anyway, until that next race, everybody, please